With this continued escalation and neither side ready to step back in this conflict between NATO and Russia over Ukraine, are we heading towards a nuclear war? Is this likely? Can it be avoided? How do you read the situation?
If there's any possibility that we're heading towards a nuclear war, we might as well just say goodbye. It was nice knowing you. A nuclear war, there's a lot of loose talk about it. Depressingly, any person who has any understanding of the conditions for nuclear conflict, certainly any strategic analyst, knows that there's no such thing as a limited nuclear war between major powers. You move right up the escalation ladder to essentially termination. So talk about a possible nuclear war is extremely dangerous. And notice that almost all the talk is coming from the West. Russia saying almost nothing about it. Occasionally a Russian repeats standard nuclear policy of all states. All states say that if our existence is threatened, we'll resort to the ultimate weapons. That's everybody's policy. Actually, the US goes beyond that and says that preemption is possible. But so far, I should say that the Biden administration, probably under Pentagon influence, has been trying to limit the escalation by keeping weapons as much as possible towards defense rather than expansion. Zelensky wants much more expansive weapons. Just yesterday, in the British Parliament, he called for fighter planes, which fighter planes would enable Ukraine to attack Russian territory. And the people who are talking about this and advocating it in the United States too, he got, notice, thunderous applause in the British Parliament when he called for asking for British fighter planes to be sent, which is technically rather difficult since you have to train pilots and so on and so forth. But the thunderous applause says, let's try a gamble with the fate of Ukraine and the fate of the world. The gamble will be that if Ukraine is able to defeat Russia, as they're calling for, Putin will quietly pack his bags and slink away in defeat and will not resort to the weapons that, of course, he has to prevent this from happening. It's an incredible gamble with the fate of Ukrainians, who are the worst, who are being hit the hardest by these policies, but also with the fate of the world. So far, as I said, there is, luckily, one peacekeeping element in the US government. It's called the Pentagon. And they've been putting their limits on how advanced weapons can be sent, but they're under a lot of political pressure, may not be able to hold out. If so, the gamble will play its way out.